Before the trees bloom, before the first wildflowers open, before most of the forest has even awakened, there is a voice, tiny, hidden, and unseen, but deafening in its chorus. The spring peeper calls not for applause, but for legacy, and it does so methodically year after year, from ditches, swamps, forests, fields, and roadside puddles alike. Welcome to Frog Week 2025. I'm your host, AAron Capouellez, and for the first time ever, we turn our lens, our macro lens, on one of the smallest and most overlooked frogs in our ecosystem. This is the story of the spring peeper, a 1-inch symphony of survival, abundance, and astonishing discipline. The frog you've heard all your life, but have likely never seen like this. To witness the spring peeper is to realize how much life surrounds us even when we don't notice it. They're calling from the heart of a forest, from a water-filled tire track, from a marsh beside the highway, or even from your own backyard. Their abundance is astonishing. One call is nothing. 10 are pleasant, but hundreds? That's when the forest becomes an orchestra. It's not just a sound, it's a phenomenon. You can find them almost anywhere there's moisture, cover, and still water, but only if you're patient enough to stop and listen. Their consistency is what makes them one of the most widespread frogs in North America, and their invisibility? That's where the challenge and the wonder begins. These calls aren't random, they're coded. Each male adjusts his pitch, pulse, and timing, trying to outcompete his neighbors for a mate. In this chorus, every note is a strategy, every breath is a gamble. What looks like chaos is actually a synchronized strategy. In the span of a few nights, entire generations are set in motion, and every one of these tiny frogs has a role to play. In their most vulnerable state as an egg or as a tadpole, they are consumed by dragonfly larvae, beetles, and newts. As adults, they are also preyed on by a lot of other creatures like owls, coyotes, garter snakes, and even bears. Capturing them on video is a very challenging thing because they are notoriously elusive. You hear hundreds, but the moment you step close, they vanish. It takes stealth, patience, and the right equipment. The macro lens became our greatest ally. It allowed us to focus on the creature, smaller than a bottle cap, magnifying every breath, every blink, every note. With each frame, we reveal a world we usually only hear. Spring peepers are only about 1 inch long, but can produce calls that reach 90 to 100 decibels. That's comparable to a lawnmower. Males inflate a large vocal sac under their chin to amplify their calls, often visible as a translucent bubble. Though they're terrestrial breeders, spring peepers can climb, and they're actually classified as tree frogs. It's very common to see them climbing up on top of the skunk cabbage and even multiflora rose. Like wood frogs, spring peepers can survive freezing by producing a glucose as a natural antifreeze. These frogs are not very long-lived in the wild. Most live about 3 years, though their predation and harsh conditions make survival past 2 years rare, always getting consumed by larger frogs, reptiles, birds, mammals. There's so many things out there that want to eat a spring peeper. As a rare, unexpected, and incidental moment, I was able to capture the male spring peeper on top of the female amplexing her, and he was kicking his legs around, and it looked like you could see how he was fertilizing the eggs. It takes about 4 to 15 days for spring peeper tadpoles to hatch out of the egg. They undergo the metamorphosis in about 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the temperature. Ironically, the spring peeper is one of the few species of frog native to Pennsylvania that we don't actively have a conservation plan to protect due to their high abundance and ability to adapt. You can find them just about anywhere. So if we start noticing a decline in the spring peepers at a population, then there is concern. However, this has never been the case. And in the foreseeable future, the projections show that that might be a continuing trend. However, we do keep track of the spring peeper on the iNaturalist project, our citizen science conservation project to understand the diversity and abundance of frogs and toads across 7 different counties, 150 miles from Bedford County all the way to Allegheny. We want to know what frogs live where, how many of them we find each year, and see if we could start stockpiling averages. Outside of the breeding season, they live under logs, bark, or moss in moist deciduous or mixed forests. In dense choruses, males adjust timing and spacing of calls to avoid overlap and attract more females. The males who are chorusing have more work cut out for them than you think. There are also those individuals that are satellite males, remaining silent near the chorusing males, ready to intercept incoming females. So one male will start calling, and he brings the females to the pool. However, the satellite males will grab a hold of her before she even gets to the calling male, so they are able to gaslight the females. However, females will come to the breeding ground based on the call volume, rate, and pitch, indicating the energy and genetic fitness of individual calling male spring peepers. Like 5 or 6 spring peepers and 2 wood frogs all clustered together on this grass. I don't know if you can see them. I'm trying my best here. There goes another wood frog coming over. There's technically a 3rd wood frog a little bit off in the distance to them. But what a unique shot here to get multiple wood frogs and spring peepers together. The spring peeper may be one of the smallest frogs in North America, but its impact is nothing short of monumental. Every year, without fail, they emerge with remarkable precision. They wait for the right temperature, they respond to the exact cues of light, moisture, and warmth, and when the moment comes, they act, consistently in chorus. Their rhythm is not rushed, not chaotic, but methodical. year after year. They return to the same pools, take the same risks, and invest their entire future in a song barely more than a beep. And that is where their power lies, in discipline, in timing, in repetition. In a world where we often chase the loudest voice or biggest presence, the Spring Peeper reminds us that greatness doesn't have to be grandiose. It's found in showing up, in following the pattern, in trusting the process. These frogs don't need to be seen to be heard, and they don't need recognition to persist. They call because it's time, because it's right. And that quiet consistency is what keeps the forest's rhythm beating. May we learn from the Peeper not to rush, not to panic, but to prepare and act with method and meaning. That's gonna do it for the first ever Spring Peeper episode. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy it? Do you want to see more Spring Peeper content? I hope that you'll continue to watch Frog Week 2025. We're just getting started. Please like and consider subscribing and sharing this with your friends so we can continue to make more Frog Week episodes. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys.